Just as a disclaimer, we want you to know that some of the movies that we will be reviewing were shot in a different time and era where people of race and sex were not treated equally. We understand this and hope you do too. The movies or anything that happened on the sets are not the views of this podcast or what this show is intended to be all about.
Exactly. And we want to give due diligence in presenting the movie and not the views of the cast or directors or anyone involved. But we also feel it's necessary to let the audience know some of the background information to get a feel for what was happening at the time of shooting the film. Again, we hope you understand that we do not agree with everything that went on, and we just want to give out the information. And with that being said, hope you enjoy the show.
The science fiction classic, The Incredible Shrinking Man, one of the best sci-fi films of all time.
Sky, what was that?
I don't know. Some kind of mist.
Look at your chest. They still too loose?
Sure, even the cuffs are dragging.
They do look kind of big.
I'm getting smaller, Lou, every day.
Well, that's silly, honey. People just don't get smaller.
There's no medical precedent for what's happening to you. I simply know that you're getting smaller. The x-rays prove it beyond any doubt.
Are you going out?
Yes, for a little while.
Where?
Well, just to the corner, to the store.
You'll come right back?
Well, of course I will.
An innovative film featuring fantastic special effects.
Charlie, maybe he's hurt someplace. Maybe he's lost.
We've looked everywhere.
With these bits of metal, I was a man again. If I was to die, it would not be as a helpless insect in the jaws of the spider monster.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema podcast. I'm your host, Jimbo, and I'm joined together today by these two in holy matrimony. No, it's my two co-hosts, the shrinking Terence.
And the larger-than-life con.
Larger than life. That is absolutely true. So as you can tell, Kyle has adapted into his role quite nicely. Just one of the guys now. Been practicing names, spelling
It's
wrong.
like I've been here all along.
It's like you've been here for 4 hours today.
Exactly. Fits like a glove.
So today, this is episode 55. We are talking about The Incredible Shrinking Man. What a fantastic movie. Cinematography is outstanding. But I'll get to my feelings on it at the end. Terrence?
What's the question? That's what I want.
You want to know the question?
Yeah, what's the question?
Got to think about it now.
I wasn't
Who's on the other foot,
go.
buddy?
You want a question?
We're going to hit him with the question. That's the real question.
All right. If you were shrinking, as in this movie, and you get to the part where he is stuck in the basement, what would you have done differently?
What would I have done?
I feel like you could have got that cheese in a different way.
That was my immediate thought too. It's just like that whole mousetrap scene. It's like, dude, you can trigger this thing and be all right. And then actually, watch where you're going to launch that thing.
Exactly.
But what I was going to do is, why didn't he do that strike anywhere match and set the basement on fire? Well, or there was a pencil there. Why didn't he write "Help, I'm here" or something?
A tiny SOS.
Right. But I mean, he could have done something.
There were
like
so many possibilities of things. Like he could have organized the matchsticks into an SOS.
Right.
Of just I'm still alive.
But there was only one, wasn't there? It was empty. It was the empty box.
When you got to it.
Okay.
It was one.
But there was that one match that he did to burn the thread or whatever.
Yeah, but there's so many ways like an intelligent adult should be able to communicate that he never did. So the answer is not die in the basement is what I would do, Jimbo.
And he didn't.
He didn't. Well, yeah.
So
Made it into the
spoilers.
we'll get there. Let's go ahead, Terrence, take it away.
All right, The Incredible Shrinking Man, release date May 17th, 1957. Its budget was $750,000. You equate for inflation, that's $7 million. This made $1.43 million, so it made its money back for sure. but not by too much. So it made it. Typically, you want to double. So it kind of like barely made the mark. That's 13.3 million today. Its runtime is an hour and 21 minutes. And let's look at the box office for 1957. So I've heard of none of these movies.
And is that really surprising? Does that surprise you, Kyle? It doesn't surprise me. He's never heard of any of these.
Hey, I've heard the other ones, at least one or two on the other box office list.
You haven't even heard of some of the names we've done on the podcast.
The podcast has been going for nearly 2 years at this point, and Terence has actually only just now discovered the idea of films. It's a whole new world.
So we have number one, the box office, 1957, The Bridge on the River Kauai.
That's a good movie.
It's a great movie.
At number two, we have Peyton Place. Number three, we have Sayonara. And number four, Search for Paradise.
Okay, I just knew the first one.
I don't think I've actually seen Search for Paradise, but it's been a long time. As you might expect, because it's an old movie.
So we have writing credits goes Richard Matheson, who also helped write I Am Legend, Jaws 3D, and various episodes in both the new and the old Twilight Zone. Then we have Richard Allen Simmons, who helped write the screenplay also, but he's uncredited. He has an interesting writing career. He helped write Major Payne, Columbo, and Dick Powers.
Yeah, those are all just amazing titles and pretty good movies.
So it's amazing, he helped write the screenplay, but is the one who went uncredited in this. By the way, Richard Matheson is also the one who wrote the novel that this movie is based off of. And so now on to the awards.
Awards. Jumping ahead, Terrence. I'm kicking you out. I'm getting on my shtick.
You almost got it.
So we have the Faroe
thought that counts.
Island Film Festival in 1957, which they won the Golden Moon Award for Best Screenplay, and then they were nominated for the Golden Moon Award for Best Film. Then we have the Hugo Awards 1958, where they won Best Dramatic Presentation. And then finally we have the National Film Preservation Board. It hit that in 2009. Which is always fun to see,
2009, great year to be remembered.
So the year you were born, Terence?
The year I was born, millennial trash.
Was that when you were born?
No.
Hey, you could have fooled me.
I'm young at heart, but I'm not that old. Wait, what?
I think you just went totally backwards.
Wait a minute.
This is the incredible shrinking mind of Kyle.
Two pecans in a bowl, and just put an onion on my back. Please make me stop talking.
So we have the synopsis. All right.
Hit it,
synopsis. Scott Carey begins to shrink as a human due to a combination of radiation and insecticide. Everyday routines soon become too much for Scott as doctors try to help him stop his shrinking.
Significant shrinkage. Happens to the best of them. Anyways, moving on to the cast. We have Grant Williams as Robert Scotty Carey as the main star of the film. He also starred in amazing films such as The Monolith Monsters, The Leech Woman, Red Sundown, and Susan Slade and The Couch. So
Susan Slade and The Couch?
Susan Slade. Susan Slade and then the movie The Couch.
Oh, okay.
Not Susan Slade and The Couch. Much different movie.
Different movie.
Don't look that up on Google. You will get some profound results. I wouldn't know. Next up, we have a little more of this. I'm going to quick beeline this cast. We have Randy Stewart as Lewis Carey, April Kent as Clarence Bruce, Paul Langton as Charlie Carey, Raymond Bailey as Dr. Silver, and William Charlotte as Dr. Branson. And then we have Billy Curtis as, and I'm not going to be, it's not necessarily the politically correct term, but as the midget. It's in the cast, I'm sorry. And now finally we have the most important role. We have Orangey as Butch the Cat.
The cat.
The cat.
Love it.
So movie.
So basically this is an incredible movie, and you start off with a guy and his wife on a boat. Remember where it's at. It's in Florida or somewhere. I don't know.
Off the coast, doing boat stuff out there.
Right. They're like laying on the hood of the boat or whatever. And, and he's like, "Hey, go give me a food or some
witty stuff back and forth. You get
do wifey things. It's the 50s.
He's like, go get me food or
It was a
drink
beer.
or
Yeah, it was a
Give me
beer.
food and
and
beer.
he's
woman.
looking out, and all of a sudden this
And then she's like retorting with equally witty comments, and
and this fog is like rolling in, and he's just looking at it, and keeps looking at it, and it just keeps coming, and it just
completely engulfs
Engulfs
him
him.
and the entire boat, and the wife is downstairs completely secured, doesn't even realize what's going on, and he's just like completely taken aback by it.
which this is one of my two gripes of this movie. One, how is she not also affected
engulfed by the
because
insecticide
the fog would have went through the molecules of the boat, unless it was so far under the water, but still.
my gripe is something similar, which is like if you see a cloud in the distance, like just something very ominous, like wouldn't your reaction to be like, oh, is this like a storm or something? Like, wouldn't you jump into the cabin and want to be ready at the helm of the
Well,
ship?
here's my other question.
Let me just stare at it for a whole
If
minute.
this cloud was going across the ocean, did it ever reach land? Did it ever affect other people? Because you don't hear about any other shrinking people in this movie. You know what I mean? Or did it just dissipate?
He kind of talks about it at the end. He's like, he mentions that too at the very end of the movie. He's all like, if I'm maybe not the only one, and blah blah blah. When he's having his whole epiphany before he blinks out of existence.
Well, spoiler alert! Jeez. So basically, he gets back home and he's trying his suit on. He's like, "Honey, did you get these tailored or whatever?"
He's
like, "My
he's
cuffs
complaining.
are-"
He's like, what did the tailor do? And he's like, we need to find a new tailor or something. Like he's very mad at the tailor,
right,
because his pants are not fitting,
and his cuffs or whatever on his shirt.
and then he noticed his cuffs. So he's like, this shirt's also not working or not. I don't know,
Fitting.
Not
not fitting.
working. The shirt is not functioning.
Shirt, it's time you went out and got a job.
No stimulus for you.
No
shirt.
stimulus for you, shirt. No shirt for stimulus.
So,
Come on, Biden.
So, she's like, "Oh well, I'll have to take them back and get them re-altered or whatever." So then, was it a few days later?
He's going to the doctor and saying he lost a lot of weight. I believe that's what he's
Right.
going to.
Well, because his shirts are even shorter than, remember, because he's like puts on his arms like he's like
like a child wearing an oversized hoodie or something like that, just kind of like
Right.
dangling off his arms. And he's like, "This is not right."
right. So they go to the doctor and he's like, he takes his height and his weight and all that, and he gives him what it is. He's like, "But I've always been." What did he say? 5'8", 6'1", something. Yeah, and he's like, "Well, you're 5'11" or 5'10" or whatever it was. You know what I mean?
It was 2-inch difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was 5'11".
And at first they tried to just kind of like dismiss it. It was like, well, maybe they took that measurement when you just woke up in the morning or something like that. And goes on to show like, well, people actually do kind of shorten over the course of the day. And
Right.
like, there's some logical explanations to becoming somewhat shorter, but it's clear that he's having an exceptional case of like he is getting a lot shorter and he's staying that way.
And he does
it's
mention
going
it in
fast.
a way. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and because after that whole conversation, he looks at him. He's like, "But a whole 2 inches?" And then the doctor's just like, "Eh."
Well, my wife. There's nothing, he's really a bad doctor.
Yeah.
If I told my doctor I shrunk 20 inches, I would expect results. Expect action to be taken. But,
it just keeps going. I mean, this guy just keeps shrinking and shrinking, and
it's becoming more and more clear this is a serious problem going on.
Right.
It's not getting better.
and the doctors don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So they're running all kinds of tests and everything on him. Then you come to the scene where I like where it shows him like sitting on the couch or whatever, and his wife sitting next to him, and he just looks like a little kid now, and he's got like the newspaper. He's like trying to turn the newspaper.
Yeah. Like he's moving an entire like cover of a hot tub or something like that.
Right. And people are like trying to call and get interviews.
Yeah, and it's clear that, like, there's a smaller scene before this where he's sitting on a couch and his boss is talking to him and is like, "Listen, I can't continue to hire you if you're not, actively doing this kind of work or something like that, and I lost a big account." And so it's a point where it's just like, the one way for you next to make big money is to go to the press and have them pay you to have, like, exclusive
Interviews,
covers
right.
of the store, basically like that. So he needs to be out in the world and say, like, "Hey, look at the incredible shrinking man." It's the only way he can actually still make money as he's shrinking to support his family, to support his wife and his home and all those kind of things.
And this is also interesting. And this is the point of the movie where you start seeing an interesting blend of special effects, practical effects, camera tricks, and even just prop work as far as dealing with the size that
the phone
is in.
you know,
you got the big phone, the big newspaper, him sitting in the big chair, and all these other interesting
these oversized props.
Yeah, exactly.
Really impressive stuff for the time, and even now it's something you can really appreciate that they took
they
great
really
strides.
Went all out with the oversized everything to make him look.
I particularly love him writing a giant journal with like a one pencil, and he passes it to his wife, and the wife just picks up the little notepad.
but you know, but this is also where you start seeing problems between him and his wife. He's been having like arguments with her ever since he had started drinking. Now it's just getting to the point, you know, he's like, just leave me, you know, I'm done or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think this is where they get in that big fight, and he's like, I'm going out for a walk, you know, and he grabs his coat or whatever, and he opens the door and he leaves. And this was really interesting because you see him walking, and you can see people talking about him, and he goes to that diner. And he goes and he sits down, you know what I mean? And as he's sitting there, that lady comes, because he has seen the fair or whatever in town with the freaks and all that.
Yeah.
And then that ballerina or whatever she is, the little person comes in, and she sits there and starts talking to him. She's like, oh, you're so-and-so. And she's like, hey, you should, you know, come with us. And he starts thinking, well, maybe I should. You know what I mean? Because she's like, it's not as bad as you think it is, you know. It's a living.
Yeah, being small isn't like nothing best thing in the world, but you can still have a good life with it still. You know, an interesting thing is, like, I didn't think about it till you were just talking just now, but it's like, it's actually it feels like one of the first stories of having a character dealing with basically a terminal illness in their own mind. And, like, that story hasn't really been, that hadn't been explored in film up to that point very much, where a character is dealing with the depression and anger and the stages of grief that goes in with learning that your time on this earth may be ending, or that your life is going to change irrevocably for the worse. And so having that whole thing where, like, he's having those arguments with his wife, he's having those anger issues, and he's having that extreme depression, just like, you need to leave me because I'm not going to be the man that you loved anymore.
That's exactly right. He's like, you know, we can't be affectionate anymore. He's like things will just be. She's like, I'm not going to leave you. I love you. I'll help you through this. We'll get to the bottom of this.
He's trying to create distance so that because he knows that, like,
eventually it's going to happen.
He can't help her at this world, and so it's this whole thing of self-destruction of, like, you know, either like, if you're going to stay with me, this is going to go bad, and if I push you out now, it might be easier.
Especially in a time period where it was very much, you know, the man would be the breadwinner of a household, and the woman would stay home. So, you know, you have that whole sort of situation in this, you know, time period of America where now he can't make anything, or, you know, he feels like he can't be a man, more or less.
It really is one of the. It has a science fiction twist to it, but it really is one of the kind of like earliest stories of a character dealing with basically a terminal illness diagnosis, and so it kind of like belongs in saying, like, if you think modern day, like, shows like Breaking Bad kind of dealt with a similar idea of just like how much they destroy their own lives to try and keep distance from the people they love because they know they're just not long enough for this world at this point.
Right. So this is the part where it starts getting really interesting because he comes back home, and then the next cutscene, I think, is where he's in a dollhouse.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, like waking up on the couch or the bed, you know, the dollhouse.
It's really so far gone that he's like less than a foot tall at that point. Or like he got a point where, like, he's 3 feet tall, but now let's go full forward. Like he's like
a Barbie doll size almost.
Yeah.
But before that, remember the cat was already pretty big at him or whatever. You know what I mean? Where he's like there. So his wife makes the mistake of she's going out or something, and she leaves the door open or something.
For
where
just long enough.
Too long.
Yeah.
And the cat comes running in, and then she shuts the door. Well, then now this is a full-on panic because the cat's starting to terrorize him in the Barbie house, if you will, the dollhouse. You know, he's basically running for his life. Which the cinematographics there is really great. You know, with the cat paw trying. He's like,
coming through the window, and catching on like that. You know, and just the idea of, like, basically like like imagine a lion the size of a semi truck basically trying to attack you. That's his experience in a dollhouse right now.
Right.
You know, and that's the you know, it's like shaking and everything. So very well done. So I think his wife comes out and she starts, you know, she thought she killed him, didn't she? Because
well, she assumes that the cat killed her because she finds the cat in the house later. But, like, the entire time, like, the cat is attacking him, he's, like, fleeing around the house trying to get away from the cat, to the point where he eventually falls down to the cellar and is trapped down in the cellar, and the cat's still upstairs. And, like,
but doesn't he like pull the lamp off or something?
He pulls the lamp
scare
down
the cat?
scare the cat off, which only works temporarily because
then he runs to the cellar door and tries to close the door to separate himself in that room, to lock himself in the cellar.
This is the part that gets me for a moment. So, it's sort of inconsistencies and little tiny nitpicks and problems I have with the movie is he's tiny compared to the cat. and he can hold the door.
That was so good. That was so good. One of the weird things to me, like
dancer.
it's like he's shrinking.
It's Captain Obvious over here.
I don't get why he gets smaller.
Well, to clearly explain, I don't get it. But
It's the title of the movie, Terrence.
but no.
We're just going to talk about the Incredible Man.
The fact that the size comparison between him and the cat, which means also there's an incredible strength comparison. The fact that he can hold the door closed while a cat's trying to get in.
Yeah,
I just thought was a little
the
absurd.
idea that he
and then it's capitalized later when he can't pick up a piece of cheese because you see him struggle to pick up the piece of cheese that's on.
Well, at that point, because
mousetrap.
he shrunk even more.
Right,
because he was
right.
probably he was
but still he
what
can,
was the
so
male
he can
Barbie doll
hold the door
size?
closed.
Ken, yeah, he was Ken doll size, which I understand. I agree with you. I don't think Ken doll can overpower a cat. Let's
Exactly.
have that death match on YouTube someday.
Because like the cat's like here and he's like here. I know this is a podcast and you can't
This
see
is
my
a
hands.
visual. This is not a visual media, Terrence. The man is shrinking. I know.
But it's just like I didn't understand that part. And then the fact, like I said, later on he couldn't pick up a piece of cheese.
But,
Yes.
well, two things with your theory there. Number one, you never know what your adrenaline's going to do. So if you're fearing for your life, he probably, because you hear about women picking up cars if their baby's stuck under them and all that.
Adrenaline's coursing.
Right. So he could have. But doesn't the cat push it open or something? He goes flying.
The cat still does overpower him at the end.
Well, yeah,
it was
because
like-
he gets
falls in
distracted
like a
when
box or something, remember?
Yeah, exactly.
But
he
the
holds it
cheese,
off for a
but the
pretty
cheese
good
thing.
chunk
How
of
long has
time.
it been on that mousetrap? You stick that stuff to the mousetrap, it's probably hard to get off. You know what I mean? That's
And
why
at that point, time has passed. So he was even smaller at that point. Also, it could have been like one of those giant actual rat traps that are like the size of a basketball.
But yeah, that was just that's.
So he
that's what
finds
I found,
himself
like,
in a box. You remember he climbs out of the box and he's like, "Man, what's going on here?" And
I am so trapped.
right, so he's looking around, and here's this big old noise, and it's water leaking from the hot water heater.
Oh yeah.
You've got like a matchbox there. You've got a mousetrap, and by this time he said he's got to eat because he's just going to keep shrinking and shrinking. He's like, and it's going to be sped up if I don't eat. And then he sees a spider.
A giant tarantula.
This is the thing that got me. It's a tarantula. Tarantulas just don't roll freely throughout houses. I mean, maybe in some parts of the world, but they don't make webs usually
Yep.
that I know of. And the kind of webs that it was weaving, I don't think it was supposed to be a tarantula web. I mean,
Well, they never even say like it's a tarantula they show in the film, but granted, like it's also just like it is played as a generic giant spider,
Right.
In the film. So like you can say, well, we use a tarantula, but it's any breed, some breed of it stays in the it could have been a wolf spider, or something like that does make
Right.
a giant web,
right. So now he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do against this beast, you know. So he goes over there and he finds he's like, that's it, and he finds like his wife's there's like a sewing basket, I guess you would say. And he pulls out one of the little pins out of there as a sword.
Yeah.
And he takes another one and like bends the hook.
very Mouseketeer like.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes and then this is one thing that we were talking about is why didn't he strike that match to burn something to let her know that he was there? I'll never know. But he burns it to like burn the rope off the thread that he's using for his
Grappling hook, basically.
Yeah,
kind of
right.
thing.
So he sees he's hungry. He goes to try to get that piece of cheese, and he tries to throw the heavy thing on it to snap the mousetrap, which it does eventually. Mm-hmm. And when it does, it goes flying into the water drain.
Yeah, water
Yep.
grate. Yep. Train. Yep.
So and he's lucky he didn't fall right then through there too. So
Right?
Yeah.
Then he looks up. He's
Bigger
depressed. He
potato.
looks up and he sees his bread on top of this bench, I guess you could say, but it's got like layers, like
Yeah.
it's like a wooden bench with layers or whatever. So he's fashioned that grappling hook. He's going to get to the top of this one way or the other. So he takes that grappling hook over there. He's like, it shows him finally struggles to get to the top, and then he goes and there's a paint stick up there that's stuck to the
Oh, yeah,
thing,
yeah.
and
It's
he's
dried paint. That's
okay. But let me ask you this question. This is something that I had the question about. So when they did the when he goes and tries to get the paint stick to go across to get the bread, later in the movie he grapples on top. When he goes back up there to fight it,
Yeah.
he grapples that paint can. He just walks around the side of it. Why didn't he just do that in the first place instead of trying to go over the paint stick?
I was also wondering that, and it didn't really show much to explain it at
Right.
all. It was just
Because
like, no,
the
he
paint
just
can-
goes right back.
Because the paint can didn't move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was one of the flaws in the movie that I found as I was watching it. But so he eventually makes it over to the bread. You know, he's eating it, and he's like, you know, and he's throwing stuff off the side, and he gets to this big piece, and he goes to move it, and he notices it's tied to a gigantic spider web, and he's like, well, I'm not getting this. You know? He's like,
Not gonna work.
So he ends up going down. You see him, you know, in the matchbox sleeping. You see him, the water starting to, you know, drip and stuff like that. So then he realizes, I'm gonna have to go back up there to get this other food. He's like, this cake or whatever it was up there, because I'm not gonna survive. So he but he doesn't do that before is that before or after the flooding of the basement? It's after, ain't it?
I believe that's after.
After.
Yeah, the water heater busts and proceeds to flood the basement by a couple inches, which is a lot for him.
The first journey is before, and then the second journey is after, I want to say, because that's when...
yeah, because there's water on the floor when he goes up on the second one.
Yeah.
But the tarantula has chased him, and he did hide in the matchbox up to this point. So he knows he's there. So then the tarantula goes away. So his wife calls somebody over for something. What was it that the guy was there to look at something? Because he was going to make her move out of the house.
Yeah.
Because she thinks he's dead.
I was under the impression it was some kind of family friend or something like that who was basically trying to take care of her a little bit, not necessarily like next love interest.
Right? No, right.
I lost my husband, new man.
Right, but I'm just saying.
Just how the 50s worked.
One of the 50s.
Right, but I think he said there's a leak in the basement or something, because she thinks that the cat has eaten her husband by this point, and it's all her fault. That's why I think he's wanting to get her far away from her, because he's like, it's not your fault, you know, all this. So then he's laying in the thing, you know, dripping. The next thing you know, the water heater just... And you know, he's like drowning. He's holding onto a pencil.
Yeah.
You know? He was writing on a pencil there, and then he gets to the bottom step, and he sees a loose nail, and he grabs onto that, and tries
and he's trying to shout for him the whole time, but like the water noise is happening, so they couldn't hear him. And I think even without the water there, they wouldn't be able.
Well, then he ends up getting knocked down or something. Remember, because he's hanging onto the pencil, and the guy's heel is almost stepping on him. Remember, you know, as he's over there, as he's drifting by. And so basically he's like, well, I'll call him tomorrow, whatever. I got to get you out here. So they go upstairs, they shut the door, and then all the water drains, and he's laying there on the ditch again. And you're like, man, poor guy. So he's like, I got to get up there, you know, wakes up, I got to get up there, I got to get this food. So he grapples all the way back up there. He's like, I'm going to have to take on this spider, you know?
Yeah.
Which is a great scene.
A David and Goliath kind of moment of just, you know.
Well, I liked...
but he saw a bird earlier, though.
He did, yeah,
at
when
the
he
top.
was exploring.
And he's trying to get the bird, you know, throwing food out to him, you know.
And he was getting mad when it wouldn't come.
Right.
But right before the spider fight, he sort of has this epiphany of calmness. And sort
strength.
And sort of just... That's kind of like the beginning of him accepting what's happening to him. And then also respecting sort of like the spider in general. He's like, oh no, I don't hate the spider. I get we're both trying to survive. But I'm gonna
kill it.
Yeah.
back to what I said about the demise thing. It's like he's entered the final stages of acceptance of his grief and sadness and accepting his fate. And this is like this is probably closest to the turning point where like it's a symbolic death in his eyes that like, you know, it's going to be me and the spider. And I respect what the spider wants to do, but I need to overcome it if I want to live, and he needs to overcome me if he wants to live. So we have to have this fight now. We need to get it done
right
now.
So he basically makes it all the way back up there. He sharpened his tools. He sharpened his grappling hook. And what I thought was funny is like he's picking up those breadcrumbs and he's heaving them at the spider. You know, it's not even phasing. And he's like shaking. It's like, and so then that gets the spider's attention. Spider comes down, and now we're on. He had a great plan, whereas if he got that grappling hook onto the spider, he's like, I could tie it to the end of the scissor, because he had it tied to the end of the scissors, and I could drop it to the floor, and the spider would die. Basically, it impale the spider. So, you know, his plan's going to work. He grappling hooks it, and his little thread gets caught. He kicks the scissors over, but his thread gets like caught in a crease in the wood or whatever.
Yeah.
And the spider just keeps coming, and the rope breaks, and you're like, "Well,
he's done for."
Yeah, you're
all
gone.
was lost, and it's like, "Oh, you can't win on this now."
Right. So you see the spider attack him a couple times. He's on his back. His sword goes flying, and basically he's given up pretty much. And the spider reaches back, and he reaches over and he grabs his sword, for lack of a better, his needle, his thimble or his needle, and he holds it up and he stabs it right into the tarantula as it's getting ready, or spider, as it's coming down, kills the spider.
So here's another interesting thing, just back on the whole spider web thing. Typically, if spiders do have a spider web, they don't leave the web, and then the fact that this one constantly leaves the web to go.
Hunt and gather. It's a very bizarre kind of.
It's a very weird.
It's totally just a plot convenient spider.
Exactly.
Right. Very interesting.
Yeah. But also, like, we're in the realm of just, like, every single action that's being taken is almost like just like, you know, less of a idea of realism of what happened if an incredibly shrinking man would occur, and more of just like symbology, you know, what's kind of things going on at the end there, which I really do respect.
Oh, right, for sure.
So, you know, this is where he's basically come to grips with reality. He knows, because now where he couldn't get out of the window at first,
he's now small.
He's now small enough that he can
through.
actually go through the window, and this is where he has his great speech at the end of the movie. You
Very,
know, he's
really,
like,
good, really great outro speech.
Right, and you know, he's like, well, you know, he's like, you know, God still has a plan for my life, no matter how small I am. I thought that was a really interesting thing, you know, and you know, he's like, of all the constellation, and it's fading from like his grass yard all the way to like the sky, to the constellations, to the planets, to the universe.
Comparison. It's you know, it's a scene basically saying like, technically, we are all small in this vast galaxy.
From a cosmic scale, we are a speck of sand on a speck of sand.
Exactly.
You know?
Right.
The idea, and like, regardless of how small we are still not insignificant, and our lives still matter in a very nice, hopeful glimpse of the world, even though it's a sad ending, as presumably he is entered his final moment of life and has then moved on.
Because he's eventually going to be small enough where he can't even breathe. You know what I mean? It's just going to be a speck. You know, just
Or maybe Ant-Man's it into the Atomverse.
You know,
I don't think so, Tim. So a couple of things. That was the end of the movie. A couple of things that I found. Richard Matheson's book was written as a series of flashbacks that's got you into the cellar with Scott quickly. Universal insisted on a linear story. They also vetoed key sequences such as Scott spending the night with the female midget, a drunk homosexual who abuses Scott, a gang of teenagers who terrorize him, and Scott becoming a peeping Tom secretly spying on teenage girls' babysitters. These were obviously rejected as too risque for 1957.
I would say too risque now.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
all just like, terrible.
Those are all awful.
Right.
Like, you know, like, I'm not saying you can't make a film that has those kind of scenes in it, but like, you have to handle them very delicately.
I feel like
no,
that
these are bad things to do.
That would take away a lot from the movie, because like, let's say all those scenes were in there, then I wouldn't really feel empathetic for him.
Exactly.
I'd agree. Now,
like, the worst of it was just, like, he was getting irritable.
Just for our listeners, if you have children listening to this next thing was something I found, and it was so interesting that I couldn't leave it out. But it's if you have kids, you might want to turn this down for the next few seconds. Basically, how do I put this? The simulating the drops of falling water was used by filling up condoms with water and then using a treadmill to drop hundreds of them off and splatter. So out of all the movies we have done, that might be the greatest
movie fact ever.
Movie prop /
special effect
that we have covered.
You just got to get that mental image of your head of a treadmill and then the condom just rolling like a hot dog.
And then you just hear the splat. And I'm like, well, that was very interesting. So I thought that was awesomely
for ways
horrible.
to get a wet noise. That's definitely
right.
That's a creative method. You know?
Right. So several of the gigantic props, the scissors, the nails, and the mousetraps, for example, were all part of the Universal Studio tour for years. Richard Matheson had originally written a screenplay for the sequel called The Fantastic Shrinking Girl, in which Louise Carey begins to shrink herself. Universal had planned to produce it, but the project was eventually scrapped. There is an incredible shrinking woman starring Lily Tomlin that we may cover eventually. Mm-hmm. Orson Welles did the narration for the trailer for this film. He was at Universal working on Touch of Evil.
That's awesome.
Scott Carey's closing soliloquy was added to the script by director Jack Arnold, which we've all discussed. That was fantastic. William Schaller, who was Dr. Arthur, was the last surviving member of the cast until his death in 2016. While the spider in the movie is clearly a tarantula, in Richard Matheson's book on which the movie is based, the spider Scott Carey battles is a black widow, which would be more terrifying than just that. This is including among the 1001 movies you must see before you die. Scott Carey's cat was played by feline actor Orangey, according to the book Hollywood Cats. So the cat's got a whole book. When Louise is on the telephone asking the operator for a new unlisted number, the radio is on, and the music playing on the radio is a theme song to Written on the Wind in 1956, which was made at Universal the year before this film and also featured Grant Williams. As Scott shrank, he should have felt colder and colder as his body became too small to retain heat. Most small mammals compensate for this by having fur and excess body fat, so all three of us are perfectly safe from...
we are well within our lives. We can survive the snow apocalypse.
Right. Many of the oversized props in this film were rented out to 20th Century Fox 11 years later for the television series Land of the Giants in 1968. In this movie, the main character's name is Scott. In Ant-Man 2015, another movie about a man that shrinks to microscopic size, the main character's name is also Scott.
Scott Lang.
Yeah.
Cool, Scott Lang.
Let's see here. We've already covered that. The plot was something new for Universal Pictures, which had to approve a story that did not have a neatly resolved ending. Matheson's novel ends with the character shrinking to infinitesimal size. There is a no last-minute rescue. The man keeps shrinking. In spite of these problems, Zugsmith managed to secure a $750,000 budget. At the completion of production, studio executives wanted to change the ending to a happy one, with doctors discovering a serum to reverse the shrinking process. So now we have the Incredible Giant Man.
Yeah, right.
Director Arnold
went too far, yeah.
Director Arnold refused. With the successful Creature from the Black Lagoon in 1954 and its sequels to his credit, he was able to convince the studio to agree to a preview. The test audience was startled at the film, but they liked it. The ending was not changed. So, fellas, give me your thoughts on The Incredible Shrinking Man.
This movie surprised me.
Surprising good, surprising bad.
Surprising good. No, like, I mean, this one I had nothing to base it off of. Like,
no
expectations. I got
he shrinks.
I get the message to be like, hey, we're covering The Incredible Shrinking Man, and I was
and you're like, oh boy,
okay, let's just get into it. Like, I didn't watch the trailer or anything. Like, I pulled up the Vudu and I just started watching it, and I was surprised. Like, it caught me from the beginning. And all the things that I've said before were all just nitpicks, but overall, like, it was an enjoyable movie. I liked the mixture of special effects, practical effects, and prop usage. A couple camera tricks just because of him shrinking and to show that, and I thought that was really cool. And as you guys know, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff, so really liked it in this movie. And it was well told, and I like that it didn't have a happy ending, but it's still, even though it wasn't happy, it was still like
it had an uplifting message.
Exactly. So I liked it, and I recommend it. There's really nothing more to say. It's a good movie.
Kyle?
And I would wholeheartedly agree with Terrence. I also went in with pretty much very little to zero expectations going in, and I didn't know what to expect. And really thinking about it right now, and from my initial watch period, I think it was highly enjoyable. The technical effects and the practical, props being used to properly show how small he became, and then how larger the world next to him kind of came to be to him, was really impressive. And as well as the symbolic storytelling near the ending, and how you have a story that does essentially deal with a man dealing with an intimate demise in his mind of losing all of his life, and then trying to find ways to make peace of that and still find meaning in his life is really beautiful ultimately. And I think it's really pressing. So although I return, it's not necessarily the happiest ending, but it is a great ending in finding ways to assert meaning into your life in any way, shape, or form, and then trying to leave with grace, essentially. And so I think it was a lovely film, and I'd recommend anyone watch it today, and it holds up very well.
You know what this movie makes me want to watch? Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, or Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves.
Never a bad time to watch those movies.
Yeah, I thought it was a really well movie, besides a few nitpicking things that I said. I didn't understand the whole... Unless she was just giving him a heart-to-heart speech, the lady from the freak show from the circus or whatever. Mm-hmm. Because if you remember, the guy comes and says, hey, we got to go or whatever,
Yeah.
And she's like, well, this is my friend. And she's like, come back anytime or whatever, what I mean? And having a cup of coffee or whatever. Very well done special effects. It's something that I've seen a long time ago. I remember the cat scene as a kid, and the train show scene, obviously. But yeah, highly recommend it. Great show. I have 5 out of 5 for me.
Wholeheartedly agree. I think it was a great movie.
Yeah.
Yep. So
All thumbs up from the Tragedy of Cinema cast.
all 3.
All 3 thumbs. We all have 1 hand.
Well, there you have it. That's a wrap on this episode, and it's coming to a close. What? You almost jumped it, didn't you, there, Kyle? I see you point at me. Yeah.
I would never. I am the height of professionalism.
You give the man an inch.
He'll take a shrink.
He'll go to the shrink. Well, that's a wrap on this episode, and cut.